Hello, everybody. Welcome. Today, I'm going to speak with Destaney from Better AMS. This interview was amazing. You have to watch it all the way from the beginning to the end. It's full of good tips. You have to watch it. See you then. Bye bye. Welcome, guys. Do you know what I got here today? Destaney from Better AMS. Did I get that right?
You did. It was perfect.
Thank you. Thank you so much for being here today. I really appreciate it. We're dying to have you on the channel.
I am so excited. I love nothing more than this style of interview. I feel like it's one of the most valuable formats you can do.
Nice. Okay, first question. Before we jump into your newest tricks, tell us about yourself.
Yeah, so Destaney Wishon. I am born and raised and still live in Bentonville, Arkansas. That's a little bit of a key part of my story because most people don't know Bentonville's actually started here. Walmart was started here. So I grew up being surrounded by like all these vendors, and kind of the e-commerce world was really exciting for me. So I got started doing Amazon ads like 5 years ago for some of the largest vendors in the space. I was making like Schick razors, like Banana Boat, Playtex, like all these crazy large CPG brands. And similar to you, I really fell in love with it. So I've not done anything since. I kind of branched off on my own and started focusing on the Amazon advertising side. And here we are.
Okay, and when was that? When did you fall in love with this e-commerce Amazon stuff?
5.5 years ago, 6 years ago now. I think I was 22 years old, maybe.
Okay, cool. I had no idea Walmart was from Arkansas.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, I live in the actual like hometown next to the Walmart museum. The Walmart home office is 1 block away. Like it's all here.
Nice. Okay, and how did you start? Did you start with your own brand? Did you start working for somebody else? How did you start?
I was working for someone else, and basically they were approaching these really, really successful brands on Walmart and being like, hey, do you need help doing this on Amazon? So it was a little bit of a different of a background because I didn't get started on the private label side. I got started on the vendor side and the enterprise side. And then I learned about the private label side. So I kind of was able to combine both of those, which I think is really valuable when we open up the conversation of what Amazon's focus is in the next few years.
Nice. And how did Better AMS started? How did you find your partners? How was it?
Yeah, I was watching a video from Global Sources Summit, and my partner Taylor Binnerud was speaking on stage at the time. And I was like, wow, there's other people in the world doing what I'm doing and that are close to the same age as me. So I started creeping on him. I found his website and I saw that he was, potentially hiring. And I sent him an email. I was like, hey, are you hiring? And he goes, no, but we can have a call. So I hopped on a call with him and he ended up hiring me to manage Amazon ads. And then he stepped away from the business for a little bit. And I kind of grew into my role now, which is CEO and, primarily focused on like sales, marketing, and educating.
Okay. What's your favorite niche on Amazon?
Any, I would say we do manage all. I would say the few that are like much harder is tech, supplements, all of those, but I enjoy like every aspect of it, in all honesty.
Tech and supplements. Yeah, supplements I really like because the recurrent purchases, I really like that. All right. Tell me, what are the biggest mistakes people are still doing 2022, 2023?
This one may be a little controversial, and I would love to hear your opinion coming from the seller side.
I'm not being interviewed here.
I would say my opinion is focusing strictly on profitability. Now, not to say that, cash flow is the most important aspect of your business when you're heavily invested in inventory. But a lot of our brands that kind of cut back in the last 6 months and focus strictly on ACOS, strictly on a tacos, have seen their overall sales drop a ton. And once you start that negative flywheel of really just lowering your overall velocity, it can be really dangerous in the long run. Amazon's focused so much more on ads. 70% of the top of the page is ads. And if you're not paying to play, or at least building your brand elsewhere with an external audience, it can be really hard to drive traffic.
So it's important to keep an eye on BSR and YouTube brands. That's what you're saying?
100%. Keep an eye on your organic rank. And if most of your sales are coming from ads, maybe don't pull back on ads. Maybe focus on your rank instead of your ACoS.
Got it. Perfect. I like that tip. That's a very good tip. So I guess that was like the main mistakes people are coming to you. All right. Any other, we've seen like PPC getting so hard, cost per click going harder, more competitors. What do you think about that? Do you agree or not?
I think that the platform's maturing, and I think that's a good thing. In order for Amazon to gain popularity, they had to let anyone sell because they wanted their customers to have thousands of options. And then Amazon gained a ton of popularity. It's, one of the most fundamental marketplaces in the world. So now Amazon realizes, oh, my customers don't necessarily need 1,000 purple pins. They want 10 of the best purple pins with the best price. So I think that's been a really big shift in that you really have to focus on adding value in your product creation because it's so much more expensive now. You're competing against much larger brands that you have to differentiate yourself. You have to build a brand and really build something that adds value. Back in the days when we got started, you could throw up a Me Too product and it was so cheap you could drive a lot of traffic. Nowadays, you can't do that. So you really have to have that additional value in order to afford the cost of paying to play.
Love it. Question. What are you suffering with copycats that like copy everything from the product except for the logo? And they try to pretend that they are the biggest brand in the markets.
Yeah, we've seen quite a bit of that. We try to stay away from that style of category in all honesty. Our focus is working on brands that have done a great job of differentiating themselves. So we don't see it as much, but 100% it's an issue. And I think that goes to show of you probably shouldn't be selling that product if it's so easy to copy. You should find a way to differentiate yourself and put the legal protections in place that make it easier for you to build a brand. Like I said, it's way too expensive to just sit there and kind of have copycat products on the platform now.
Yeah. Love it. Love it. All right. Another question for you that I've been getting a lot of time is when you're working with sponsor brands, you cannot really A/B testing product catalog and sponsor brand video. Now I'm seeing we have like different ad groups.
Yep.
So when we do sponsor brand videos, you can create a lot of ad groups. But still, if you put the same keywords, they end up competing with each other. And do you have this problem? How do you manage this?
Yep.
Do you like to work with like multiple videos trying to see which one is better for keywords?
Yep. So we do split test that quite a bit. One of the things that I just posted about is split testing like a commercial grade professional video versus Amazon's video builder. And like you mentioned, there's no easy way to do it. What you really have to do is just like pause a campaign that has one video and start the other campaign that has another video and make sure your bids are the exact same, make sure your keywords are the exact same so you can somewhat get a good indicator of performance. It's not great, but I will say Amazon is rebuilding that ad type for the ability to split test. You'll now see once you launch a video, there's multiple ad groups and you can manage creatives within that ad group. And really what Amazon's trying to do is improve the ability to target the same keywords and analyze split testing. So functionality is not great right now, but we are getting to the point and we can probably expect Amazon to release an actual split test builder or something along those lines in the future.
Okay. And what about SD? The same thing on SD?
I would assume so, because Sponsored Display is now releasing video assets. So some of the best ad placements on Sponsored Display are on the product detail page, and Amazon's going to allow us to run video ads in those placements. So you can probably assume they're going to improve the creatives over there.
Okay. Do you like any of the AI automation tools for PPC?
Yes and no. So I definitely think that there's a ton of value in it. But sometimes I don't know if the cost of the tool is worth the value, especially for a smaller brand. We all have the same access to data. Amazon, as you know, doesn't openly give you your organic rank and all these different variables. They don't tell you how your ad spin affects your organic rank, and not a lot of softwares do that. So we're all limited by how we can manipulate the data. So that's kind of, if you see a software that's like, my AI automation does day parting and is 20 times better than anything else, I'm always like, is it really though? Because we all have the same access. You're just creating your own formulas that probably aren't amazing. So I think that when I'm looking at a software, I look at how can it make my work more efficient? So like bid management, and how can it show me reporting that allows me to make better decisions? So those are kind of the two focuses I have. There's really not a big difference that AI automation can make right now. You still need a human strategically managing your creatives, your targeting, your organic rank, saying, hey, let's lower spend here because my tacos is healthy. Let's increase spend because my ranks is not.
On your day-to-day, are you using any tool or no?
So we've built out our own software in-house. We run our own bid management, our own campaign launching, all of that we've kind of built out internally. So that way we can customize it for our clients' needs. You know, some clients, I think our biggest client has, I want to say 30,000 SKUs. So when you have 30,000 SKUs, you have to really customize.
I already have a headache just to think about it.
Yeah. So we had to build out tools to make that easy to scale. So most of what we've done is customizable, but I will say, like, I've audited and reviewed most of the softwares out there or given feedback. I'm typically like an advisor for quite a few. And there's some that are doing things really, really well. Like, and it just depends on what your business needs. So like Perpetua, I think, is like one of the most easy to use softwares I've seen in terms of their user interface. So if you just need something for efficiency, I always point someone like, hey, Perpetua is great. Now, if you're managing multiple marketplaces and expanding into Walmart and Instacart, and you really need a ton of data, then that's where I say, like, hey, PackView is probably the best tool that you can use. Like, PackView is so cutting edge when it comes to everything you can do. Like, you can manage your bids on an hourly basis with their stream data, and like, it's insane. So that's kind of like what I look at. I think there's no one that's just best. It's who can provide you as a brand owner what you need.
Are you enjoying using Stream?
Yes and no. It's just like another layer of complexity, which I think is like always fun as someone who manages PPC. But it's
just for our audience to know, Stream means adjusting bids hourly.
Yep. So, you know, you asked me about AI software, and it's funny. A lot of people don't realize you are never actually given hourly based data. Amazon did not release it. You had to go into your ad console and basically assume mornings aren't good and afternoons are better, and kind of arbitrarily make that decision. Well, Amazon released Amazon Stream, which gives us hourly pushed data. So we get it immediately. So for the first time ever, we can make those assumptions. And that only happened 2 months ago. So anyone who's telling you they had hourly data is probably not real.
And it's only for SP. So we're still waiting for an SB and SD.
Yep. But the cool thing about it is we can now see, hey, at 1 a.m., my conversion rate is 7%. At 9 a.m., my conversion rate is 20%, and then move budgets around that way. Now, I always say at the end of the day, it is a pay-per-click model with high purchase intent. So unlike YouTube, where a lot of people stay up till 3 a.m. just watching random YouTube videos, if someone's on Amazon at 3 a.m., they are still wanting to buy your products. They just may not purchase until the next week. So it's like
ACoS is going to be higher, but they're actually searching, researching.
Yeah. So I typically, unless you're on a limited budget or you're only focused on efficiency, I don't recommend investing heavily into day parting just yet. I don't think the data is there in the future potentially, but yeah.
Nice. Another question for you. How do you like DSP?
I love it. I think DSP is one of the most powerful tools in Amazon, but I think that people aren't using it for the better good per se. I think agencies kind of use it to like bring clients in and maybe aren't too honest about the data. DSP is one of the most insanely powerful things because you can say, hey, I want to target everyone who bought cat food 11 months ago and serve them an ad showing them my cat toy. And I only want to target people who have viewed this. Like, it's crazy powerful how you can build out your audiences, but it's also, can be heavily focused on remarketing, which could basically skew your data and make your performance look better than what it is. And then your agent, so like, well, we're running at a $7 ROAS. I'm like, yeah, but you're targeting people we already targeted with search. So
yeah, I've seen complaints about that.
Yes.
Another question that I have for you. Sponsored display is now using other Amazon sites. So does that compete with DSP? Should we just like, how is that relationship between SD off-sites, Amazon and DSP?
Yep. So they definitely have overlapping advertising inventory. So when we have brands that are doing both, I do get a little weary on how much overlapping attribution issues we have. But at the end of the day, kind of what we've seen is DSP is going to be the more complex model. DSP is going to be more mid-funnel, upper funnel, and that's where you're going to have your big spenders. Sponsored display is like your entry level. So sponsored display is going to focus on remarketing, light prospecting, some contextual targeting, but it's going to be just kind of, if you're spending, less than $10,000 a month on display, spend it on sponsored display. If you're wanting to spend, $30,000 to $50,000 a month on display, do it in DSP where you have direct control over everything. So that's kind of how we've chosen to differentiate it. Like, if you're just getting comfortable and getting used to it, start with display. If you're advanced and ready to go, then go to DSP.
What do you think for people that are like considering going to DSP and they're selling 10K per day? Yep. What do you think will be like the increase when they add DSP? Will be like 10%, 20%?
It really depends on the spend. And that's kind of the part that makes it hard to answer. You can go so mid-funnel and upper funnel and drive a ton of awareness. Let's just talk about search. When you're spending on PPC, you're waiting for a customer. Like, if I'm selling this blue marker, I'm waiting on a customer to type blue marker, and then I'm showing them an ad. If you're really investing in display and DSP in the right way, you're bringing them into your funnel. So you're going out and saying, hey, let's run a disruptive ad to this college student. I think that they want markers. Let me show them they want markers and bring them to me. So you're filling that funnel with a ton of people, and then you have the ads in place with search. So increases really depend on a mindset. And I think that's why I care about educating the market on the differences, is because you really need to understand what the goals are in DSP, because they should be quite a bit different.
Nice. I forgot what was the question. The next question was, but do you like using VCPM on sponsored display?
No, in all honesty, because if you read the guidelines or the how-tos with VCPM, you are getting an attributed sale based off a 1-second view. So what that means is, if you're running a pay-per-click model, you only get charged when the customer clicks on your ad. And if they clicked on your ad, you knew it was doing its job. With a view CPM model, you're getting charged every 1,000 views. And that 1,000 views is based off 1 second. So think about how many times you're looking at a competitor's product and you glance at the ad directly below, but glance back up. That doesn't mean you're interested in that product. It means you happen to see it. Now, they're cheap. So for all the brands that are running view CPM, like, don't run deposit because you think it's cannibalizing your sales. That's not necessarily the case. It is attributed. Anyone who's studied like the subconscious, marketing knows that seeing an ad does influence a purchase later on. But don't say, hey, this is running at $20 ROAS, a 2% ACoS. This is amazing. Let's spend all my money on it. Because that's not quite the case. It's probably inflating your numbers.
Yeah. And what I realized, that if you use VCPM for defense, it's gonna get a lot of sales, and people are just clicking on your products, and there's like an ad.
And they're gonna buy. They're already looking at your product detail page. So
yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Okay, I have another question for you. Let's say you're launching in a niche. We have like 2 big sellers starting from scratch. What would you do 2020, end of 2022, 2023 to launch this product? What would be your strategy?
So,
Assuming the product has good branding and a
yep,
differentiator.
yep. So what we focus on a launch is typically exact match campaigns focusing on top of search. And the reason being is the first 3 sponsored product ads on a page make up 70% of click share on page 1.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So 70% of all the traffic that types in a keyword and goes to page 1 clicks on one of those 3. So if I'm launching a product, I need to drive a ton of traffic really quick. And then I want to make sure that traffic's converting. So again, if I'm targeting blue marker, I'm going to put my most important keyword in a ranking campaign. I'm going to focus on exact match. I'm going to bid really high. And then after 24 hours, I'm going to say, hey, how expensive is that placement? And then if it's, $10, I'm going to say, hey, I can't afford that. I should probably look for blue marker for college students, something I can afford. And then the second thing I'm going to look at is, how was I converting on blue marker? Was I converting at a 20%? Okay, that's pretty good. Let's continue to drive traffic. Am I converting at a 5%? All right, I can't compete in that space just yet. Let's go more long tail. And that's kind of the decision tree I make. And then when I find the keywords I can afford and I'm converting well on, I drive a ton of traffic. And then I, use search query in order to kind of track my organic rank and my share of voice to justify the spend. But I think
are you able to download their search query somehow?
Not yet.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, you can scrape it. So
you can scrape it.
You can literally just highlight, copy and paste into an Excel sheet.
That's what I did. Yeah,
yep.
But it takes some time to format everything.
You can actually, something that's a little bit better is Microsoft Excel allows you to upload a screenshot and it formats all of the data. So you can screenshot search query, go into Excel, upload your screenshot, and it formats everything perfectly.
That's perfect. I love it.
Yeah, okay. So you don't even need to be a macro builder or anyone technical.
Okay, question for you. Now I'm going to get you.
Okay.
Was that a dog or a cat?
Cat.
Okay. Yes. Can you see it?
Yes. Oh, Luna. Oh, I don't know if you'll be able to see her, but I have 2 of them and they will run everywhere. And if I pick her up, she'll go crazy right now. But she is the most talkative, obnoxious, cuddly cat in the world. So
she lives in Miami too. That's amazing.
She is all over the place. So
she's my neighbor.
That's exactly.
Nice. All right. Do you think Climate Pledge Friendly badge is a good differentiator?
Yeah, in the long term, yeah, I think it matters, but I don't know what the cost to get it is, in terms of hours and how much you need to clean up your business. They put a sponsored carousel for Climate Pledge. Why can't I say Climate Pledge Friendly?
It's hard. Yes. Especially for me.
Yes. So I do think that there has 100% value, but I wouldn't say that it's a lot of ROI because I don't know how much goes into getting it.
Mm-hmm. If you are designed by contacts, you can get it really easy. If not, you have to go through other means. What about the small business badge?
Yeah, I think those little things definitely help in the long run. We haven't seen a huge sales increase, but I think it's all about telling your brand story. I mean, if you have an amazing unboxing experience, telling your brand story, we're a small business, here's my family, here's how I got started, and then you have the badge. Story. Yeah, all of these little things, that's where that makes a difference. You're truly living it. Now, I think that there's definitely a percentage of customers that look for Climate Pledge Friendly and, the small business, but I don't think as a whole it makes a big difference until you actually live those values.
Nice. Going back to DSP a little bit, because I forgot one question.
Yes.
When you were doing Amazon DSP, you are stuck on Amazon's websites.
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever thought about doing DSP on Taboola, some other things, so you can get more traffic from other sites?
Yeah, 100%. So on Amazon's end, we definitely leverage all of their network for everything that they open up to, news sites, external sites. And then we've also looked at just traditional DSPs elsewhere, like Criteo, Citrus, that allow you to kind of use those platforms. I think retail media as a whole is a really fun space to be in. And I think a lot of brands are going to have to start looking at what's my cost per acquisition on Amazon. okay, it's pretty expensive. Maybe I should try TikTok where my conversion rate's lower, but it's so much cheaper. So like really knowing how expensive it is to acquire a customer is going to be the future of the space. Cause I mean, I've seen $40 CPCs on Amazon in certain categories consistently. And it's like, if you can't afford to pay $40, maybe you should look on elsewhere where it's a lot cheaper and your conversion rate's lower, but you're acquiring a customer for cheaper.
Nice. Do you run tests on social media, TikTok, Google?
We don't run any ads on those platforms yet. We just manage Walmart and Amazon for the most part, and then DSPs. I do think that like TikTok and those other platforms is a fun space to be in, but it's really hard when Amazon has an update every week. Like, how do you keep up? How do you build a team that is an expert on the platform without kind of spreading them too thin when you start combining everything else that you could be doing?
Yeah, you're right. Okay, have you ever tried to work with Amazon influencers? Do you have any tips for that?
Yeah, so that's a big priority on Amazon's end. They've actually released what's called influencer connections, I think, within advertising console.
Correct.
It's
so you'll be able to talk to the influencers
yes.
and start.
They have, I mean, you click on this tab and it opens up all the influencers they've partnered with. It has a rate card. It has what platforms
that they're big on. So you have access to it?
Yes.
Oh my God. How do we get access to it?
We have it in one account out of 50. So I don't think it's like a beta that's public yet. But it's one of those things where, Amazon's investing in creative and influencers. So you should probably start dabbling in it now because they're going to give you more opportunities to make it easier. So that's kind of like a big focus that we've had is working with our brands to adjust our ads for influencers or do this, and this. So definitely a big opportunity.
Okay, nice. Love it. One last question, total random. When you are doing bid updates.
Yep.
And you can calculate the max CPC. So the max CPC, for those who don't know, is the price of the product times the targeted cost times the conversion rates. Yep. That would be like the maximum cost per click that you can do to achieve that targeted cost. A lot of specialists, they look at this, but they sometimes take into consideration, sometimes they ignore it. What's your thought about this?
So for all of our profitability focused campaigns, that's what we're 100% going to look at max CPC, and we're going to make optimizations based on ACoS and ROAS. So that's where that matters the most. But what we've seen lately is it's so much more expensive that sometimes when you lower your bid, you just don't get impressions anymore. And that's a really dangerous place to be in, because the moment you start slowing down on sales, again, your rank decreases, especially if you're relying on Amazon ads. So we've had to go to brands lately and be like, hey, the average CPC for this category is $4. If I lower my bid to $1 to $2 because I'm profitability focused, I'm just not going to get any traffic. And this is your highest sales driving keyword. So we'll set aside certain campaigns where we're willing to take a loss on them because we're converting so well. It's improving our organic rank and it's driving so much traffic. So we'll have campaigns where our ACoS target is maybe 60 to 70%. Now the rest of our campaigns are 25 to 30%. And they're going to balance out our overall profitability. But there is 100% times, especially now more than ever, where you have to take a loss on keywords to improve your organic rank. Like, it's just too expensive.
Yeah. Right. We are in a recession. Do you think that's going to be a problem for Amazon sellers?
Yeah, 100%. One, on a personal level, just cash flow. If you are managing a private label brand and you need cash flow and you need, maybe someone to float cash for investing in more inventory, like that's a lot more difficult. And then you have a general decline in overall velocity on the platform, and that's going to play a big role. I mean, I would say on our end, like 60% of our brands maybe are down year over year. And that's just due to the marketplace. That's not necessarily due to anything they did, just less customers, more competition. So all of those things definitely play a role. And then again, the maturing of the platform. Amazon's trying to invest more into brands rather than Me Too products. So I think all of those are going to play a role combined with the state of the economy and just general consumer habits.
How do you show the client those numbers? How do you show like they're losing revenue? How do you explain that to them? Is it hard?
I try to do a lot of educating. Like I hop on with clients and I'm like, hey, type in your number one search term. You're not on page one. Like we need to pay to get you there. And like I break things down in a really simple way. And then I also show them the data that everyone else has. So we will spend, I think, around $60 million this year on Amazon. So being able to go to them and say, hey, we're spending $60 million and 70% of our brands are in this position, I think is comforting because that means, oh, you're not solely doing something wrong. It's not like, hey, you made a mistake in your brand. It's, hey, this is what everyone's dealing with. How do we improve upon it? And then I kind of educate on that. So it's definitely not an easy discussion, but I'm not going to be the agency to tell you everything is, sunshine and rainbows and you're going to increase by 70%. Like I will be the first one. Like we run brand audits for people and I'll very blatantly turn them away because I'm like, hey, you're already doing stuff amazingly well. You don't need us. Or, hey, this is where you're at. Improve this before working with us. Like I try to be transparent.
Nice. Good job. All right. Tips for holidays 2022.
Biggest tips I would say are to probably invest in deals and discounts. I think the last 2 Prime days, the biggest standout is if you don't have any coupons or badging, you got no visibility, no velocity. Amazon, potentially, in a recession, dealing with all these external factors, customers want the best deal. So if you want eyeballs on your listing, add a deal, add a discount, and then drive a lot of traffic to that. That's probably one of the biggest things I have. And then to, again, invest in understanding the relationship between ads and your organic rank. So if you don't know exactly how much of your total sales are coming from ads, that's a dangerous place to be in because you could be losing a lot of organic traffic.
I gotta write this down. How do you know what's a good conversion rates, general and for each product, for each brand?
Great question. So I use brand metrics as my first indicator.
So brand metrics, you go to advertisements, there's little arrows going up, and then you could remember. I have to explain to our audience where they go to.
Yes. Right, I have a YouTube video walking through how I use both of these in a very detailed way.
I bet you do.
I'll send it to you. And if you want to post it for everyone. So brand metrics is the first place. And what brand metrics does is it gives you category data. So the example I use, blue marker, you can go to a category that says markers and art supplies, and it'll say, hey, your conversion rate, organic and ads, is 23%. Category average is 19%. Category top is 30%. I can go in and say, hey, I'm converting better than average. So let's keep pushing traffic. So that's kind of the first place. And then the second place is using search query. So search query, you can also break down and do your math on conversion rate. It doesn't show you in the dashboard, but if you update it into Excel, like we mentioned, you can easily pull your, purchases versus clicks versus impressions and say, hey, I'm converting on this keyword at 17%. My competitors at a 15%. Let's spend more money.
Nice. What if your conversion rate's below average? What do you do?
I have a very hard conversation with our brands that I can drive as much traffic as possible, but they're going to leave the page because your listing needs improvement.
So the listing needs improvements.
Yep.
In case the only difference, like the review or the price, I guess we should be working on differentiation.
Yep. Differentiation, maybe building more traffic off platform, building a brand. Those are big differences.
Nice. All right. Did I forget any questions?
I don't think so. I think it was pretty rapid fire and we covered everything.
You did a good job.
That's my favorite format.
You did a very good job. Thank you so much. So thank you for being here. If you need anything from us, we'd love to have you back soon. If you need anything from us, by the way, how do people contact you? Forgot about that.
I would say check me out on LinkedIn. That's where I post the most content and try to really connect with my audience. And then YouTube or betterams.com.
All right. And how the people that want to hire you, where do they do? Where do they go?
Shoot me a message on any of those platforms or go to betterams.com, and we have a free audit for all of the brands that, you know, we're looking at. We'll go ahead and audit your brand, and then we can kind of go from there. Yeah, exactly.
Get your audits.
We'll see how it goes.
All right. Thank you so much for being here, Destaney. It was a pleasure. Thank you for all the tips.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
All right. See you in the next one.
Yeah.
Bye-bye. Thank you so much for watching our interview with Destaney from Better AMS. What you have to do now is go to sellerboard.com and check out our software. If you are a seller on Amazon and you need to keep control of your P&L, of your profit, of your inventory, of your follow-up emails, if you need to have full control of your store, you have to go now to sellerboard.com. You can click on demo accounts. You can play with the software. You can test it, see if you like it, and then you can start a trial. I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.